animals throughout the safari, make sure to have those devices out and ready. Since this truck only makes abrupt stops, and you never know when an animal will pop out and give you a close encounter. Also, please keep a firm grip on those devices. Entering the homes of these animals, let's please be courteous to them. Try not to make too many noises, such as kissing, clicking, or the general calling towards animals to bring them towards you, as that actually scares these animals away from the truck rather than bring them closer for those close encounters. We're entering Little Turi Forest. Animals in this region tend to be rather shy and pretty good at hiding, so let's keep an eye out for them. Many of the animals in this region have stripes or markings on them, and that helps them to better camouflage with their natural surroundings. On our right, there is an okapi. Despite having its stripes, it's so good at hiding that Westerners did not discover them until 1901. Well, they have stripes, but they're not related to the zebra. They're related to the giraffe. Okapi mothers also have an infrasonic ability, which is beneath human hearing, so they can communicate with their young ones. Up on our right is a greater kudu. They're the tallest of forest antelopes, while on our left is a black rhino. Black rhinos have a triangular shaped lip with a prehensile upper lip, so they can reach up into trees and higher up bushes to grab leaves. They can weigh about 3,000 pounds, and while they don't have any natural predators, they're endangered by poachers poaching them for their horns, made out of keratin, the same material as our hair and nails. Now there are less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. As for the greater kudu, the males tend to be more solitary and have horns. The females do not have horns and tend to gather in groups of 3 to 10. And as I said, they were the tallest of forest antelopes. But coming up on our left, there are bongos. They're known to be the ghosts of the forest, as they are rarely seen. They're the largest and heaviest of forest antelopes. Both male and female bongos have horns that tilt back so that they can get through the low underbrush pretty quickly. You'll also see some saddle-billed storks. They get that name due to the yellow saddle-shaped shield on their beak. They can stand at 5 feet tall with a wingspan of 9 feet long, which is as wide as this canopy. They can't communicate verbally, but they can communicate by rattling their beaks together. And we'll be nearing the Safi River real soon. If you notice any shadows lurking beneath the water, it just might be a Nile hippopotamus. Hippos are able to hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time. And despite being in water most of the day, they're not big on swimming. They'd much rather drop down to the bottom and walk or glide around. They also have a pair of incisors that can grow to be about 18 inches long, which they use mostly for defense, as they are the most territorial, but they are vegetarian. A hippo calf will weigh about 80 to 100 pounds, while adults weigh 4,000. Hippo calves will nurse underwater with their mothers, and the females of the bull will help the mother protect the calf. As for the pelicans, those are a pink-backed pelican. They're not pink now, but they'll get their pink color during their mating season. They're known to be colonial birds, which means they'll nest in groups of 20 to 500. Parents will take turns in nesting on their eggs, and they'll incubate those eggs for about 30 days before they hatch. And down on our left, there are Nile crocodile. These are opportunistic hunters. Rather than going out to look for their meals, they'd much rather lie in wait for something to appear in front of them, whether it be something small or twice their size. Please remain seated. Please remain seated back there. Thank you. If you see them with their mouths open, it's because they don't have sweat glands like humans do. So they need to keep their mouths agape in order to let the air flow in and keep themselves ventilated. Despite having those powerful jaws, the parents are able to roll their eggs around in their mouths very gently, as to better encourage your young ones to come out faster. Both hippos and crocodiles can live up to 40 years out in the wild. As we near the grassy plains of the savanna, you'll notice an odd-looking tree up ahead. That's a baobab, also known as the upside-down tree, due to its branches looking like roots. Baobabs can be leafless for 9 months out of the year. They're a great resource during times of drought because they tend to hold a lot of water. And since their tree trunks hold so much water in them, they're also referred to as the tree of life. Much like that giant tree in the middle of the park you saw when coming in. That's actually a baobab with its leaves. And coming up first on our right is a Maasai giraffe. You can tell them apart from reticulated giraffe due to their patterns. Reticulated have a more net-like pattern, while Maasai have a more patchy pattern. And up ahead there are some zebras. Those zebras have a flap of skin under their neck called a dewlap. It helps circulate their blood and keeps them cool. While most stock have a dewlap, those zebras are the only zebras to have them. They're the Hartman's Mountain Zebra. While on our left, there are African wild dogs, also known as painted dogs. They're one of the most successful hunters out on the savannah. Their success rate is 90%, while a lion's is only 3%. When a young zebra is born, they've already got their full-grown legs, and they're able to imprint immediately on their mother's stripes, so they know which zebra to stick to. If you're wondering if a zebra is black with white stripes or white with black stripes, you can always look at their nose or underbelly. If they have a black nose and underbelly, they're black with white stripes. And if they have a white nose and underbelly, they are white with black stripes. As for those tall rocks, those are termite mounds. Termite mounds are a compilation of mud, saliva, and dung, hardened under the sun to be as hard as concrete. Elephants will use them as a scratch post, while the antelopes will use them to look out for predators. Much like a zebra's stripes, a giraffe's patterns are a lot like our fingerprints. There are no two alike. Each pattern and stripe are very unique to itself, which is also how we're able to tell all of them apart from each other. When a young giraffe comes into the world, it's with quite a shock. Mothers give birth while standing up, so babies will drop 6 feet to the ground. They're usually up pretty soon though, and standing at 6 to 8 feet tall. Giraffe also have very good eyesight. That combined with their long necks help them to see quite far throughout the savannah, including any predators hiding in tall grass. Over on our right, there is a small herd of white-bearded wildebeest. They're part of a large migration group that happens every year in Africa. About 1.5 million of them take part in it. This can be seen from satellites up in space as a weather phenomena, usually viewed as a large dust cloud moving slowly about. Behind them is a springbok, that's the smallest antelope on the reserve, and on the hilltop there are Ankole cattle, also known as Watusi cattle, named after the Watusi clan that first domesticated them. also its weakest point, so they try to keep them up as often as they can, whether they're sitting or standing up, which may be a reason why they only sleep for about 30 minutes a day. They're browsers though, so they'll spend most of their time eating. If you're looking for any more animal encounters after safaris, you can head on down to Gorilla Falls Trail. You'll find a variety of animals there, such as gorillas, monkeys, meerkats, naked mole rats, a different breed of zebra, as well as an underwater hippo viewing area. Up ahead is an African elephant. African elephants have very large ears, with many blood vessels in them, so they can flap those ears around, as well as long trunks that can grow to be about 10 feet long. While on our left are mandrills. Mandrills are identified by their blue and red face markings, which tend to glow brighter as they get more excited. Much like chipmunks, mandrills also have cheek pouches so that they can store their snacks for later. But since that elephant seems to be on its own, we can assume that he's male. Male elephants are more solitary. They'll stray away from their herd, either alone or in a bachelor group, while the females tend to stick together with the children. Scientists also recently found that elephants are quite afraid of bees. Since they have such good hearing, they're able to hear the buzzing a lot closer than it is, and it'll spook them. They'll even warn everyone else around to stay clear of the area. So the scientists gave that information over to farmers in Africa, and the farmers were able to set up beehive fences. This kept the elephants safely away from the crops, and the farmers also gained a new form of income, which was the honey from the bees. It was quite the sting operation. On our right, there's tusk marks in the cliff. That's because elephants enjoy eating the red clay. It gives them an important source of vitamins they're not able to get much anywhere else. Quite a lot like the multivitamins that many of us eat. If you haven't had a chance to see an elephant eating red clay before, it looks a lot like a child eating mud. Except it's very okay for the elephants to eat it. The herd's also usually led by a matriarch, the oldest female of the group. She'll have all the past knowledge of previous elephants before her, and will try her best to pass that knowledge down to the next generation. Elephants also have very sensitive skin, so if you see them throwing something on their backs, such as mud, sand, dirt, or something else of the sort, it's usually as a sunscreen to help better protect themselves from those UV rays. I also noticed more baobab trees around. They're pretty important to the savanna ecosystem. Without them, the animals would lose another source of water during the dry season, which is why conservation groups are keeping an eye out on their numbers and trying to increase them whenever they can, especially since they've been dwindling in their amount recently. There are also greater flamingos. They're the lightest shade of pink flamingo out there. They get their pink color from a source known as beta-carotene, found in the shrimp and other sea creatures they eat. They're not migratory. They prefer to stay in their same area as long as they have enough food. They will travel at night though. If that food runs scarce, then they need to find a new watering hole with an abundance of it. When flamingos first hatch out of their eggs, they are not pink already. They do start out as little gray chicks that take about 2 to 3 years to gain their pink color. That's just about how much beta-carotene they need to consume in order to gain it. And coming up next, there are white rhinos. They were first named by Dutch settlers as white rhino, white meaning wide, due to their large, wide mouths. They're much larger than black rhinos. They can weigh about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. They don't have any natural predators. They're mostly endangered by poachers, poaching them for their horns made out of keratin, same material as our hair and nails. There are no longer any northern white rhinos, but there are still the southern ones down in Africa. The Disney helps support conservation programs that keep an eye out on rhino populations and better help protect them from poachers. If you see a rhino rolling around or covered in mud, that's not only to set up as a sunscreen, but also as a bug repellent to help keep the bugs off of them. And up on our left are cheetahs. Cheetahs are the fastest mammals. They can run at 60 miles an hour in just 3 seconds. They can only keep that speed up for a few hundred yards before it wears them out, and they need to take a nice rest before going at it again. Cheetahs are also one of the few big cats that hunt during the day, since they rely more on speed rather than strength like other big cats use. And up ahead are Kobe rocks. That's a rock formation that happens out on the savanna. Usually predatory animals will make it their home and use it to scan the area for any prey. You'll see a lion up there. Male lions are the ones with the mane of hair around their neck. Females don't have that. Instead, the lioness is known to be the hunters of the group. While the lioness is out hunting for food, male lions will stay behind to guard their homes and young ones. Coming up on our right are ostriches. Ostriches are the tallest bird. They're flightless but speedy runners. Many people believe they stick their head in the ground, but that's not completely true. They simply lay their heads close to the ground, so it does appear that way sometimes. And they do so in order to hide from any predators that may be nearby. Now, lions sleep for about 18 to 20 hours in a day. So if you want to get them while they're more active, you would have to come pretty early in the morning or quite late in the evening. And during the day, their vision is quite a lot like ours. But come nighttime, their eyesight will become 6 times greater. On our left are warthogs. Warthogs are known to be the recyclers of the savannah. They'll take up any empty or abandoned burrows as their new home and back up into those burrows with their tusk pointed out as a way to better protect themselves from any predators. While over on our right, you'll see some pretty large eggs just laying there on the ground. Those are the ostrich's eggs. One ostrich egg can weigh about 2 dozen chicken eggs. And they're pretty hard shelled too, because if a human were to stand on an ostrich egg, they would not even crack. Looks like we're nearing the warden's post. The warden moved down here to be closer to the animals as a way to better protect them from poachers. If we take a closer look, there are Nigerian dwarf goats. They're rudimentary, which means they have a pot belly because their stomach has 4 chambers to it to better break down food, much like the okapi and giraffe. They're quite playful. They like to chase, butt heads, and climb, usually as a way to show that they're maturing. But they can also make quite great pets, since since they don't take up too much space, and they'll usually eat the grassy areas other animals tend to not eat. Dwarf goats also provide a great resource, being their goat cheese and sweet milk.